to walk a mile in your shoes, or sit a day in your chair, and I don't know what it is you're feeling deep down inside, but I can see the tears when you cry, and so I know you must be hurt, you must be in pain, and it must be one of those days. You should know that there is somebody somewhere that will always love you, cause you're beautiful. You should know that you are beautiful. It no matter what them say, yeah. God made you this way, and you're perfect this way. So no matter what they say, you are beautiful. Oh, beautiful. Don't you know that you are beautiful? And no matter what them say, yeah. God made you this way, and you're perfect this way. So no matter what they say, you are beautiful.
Our focus on Belize music itself, organic, authentic Belize music, is because they almost don't have no words to make her describe that, you know, and just the excitement, you know, that people have. You know, I am 100% blessed and 100% humbled and grateful for that. I see over the years that the connection to the people, when you give something to somebody that they could take pride and ownership of because it's theirs. You understand me? There's no better feeling than that.
Well, it's a fully blind people we can't look around, and the deaf people we can't hear a song. Paraplegic and Down syndrome, if you're schizophrenic or real share.
Parandas are always good. Parandas are always good. I love parandas. Hopefully you guys enjoy it as well. And remember, there is a guest tonight. We have Ronnie Figueroa, aka DJ La Buga. Ronnie, are you online?
Yes, I am.
Thank you so much for accepting this interview, Ronnie.
Thank you for inviting me.
So can you tell our listeners a little bit about what you do? Because I don't think I have enough time to say everything that you do, Ronnie. Ronnie, you actually in Cali, right?
Yes, Los Angeles, in Long Beach, actually.
Right in Long Beach.
Yeah.
So again, it's mighty early out there for you. You could be enjoying the beach, and here you are with Linda at Garifuna Sin Fronteras. So for that, thank you.
Appreciate it. Well, I want to thank you and the staff of Puntology for giving me the opportunity to be able to talk to your audience. I know we have a shared audience, and sometimes we overlap. A lot of people do listen to your show, and a lot of people do listen to my Wednesday show on LMB Roots. So I am excited to be here tonight. Tonight for you people in the East Coast, and for us here, it's still nice and clear. It's not as sunny as I expected, but it's a beautiful day in Long Beach, California. I don't know where to begin, but I do want to thank, first of all, God for allowing me the opportunity to serve a wonderful community such as the Garifuna community, and my wife, Cheryl, whose birthday is today. So I want to wish Cheryl happy birthday, Cheryl. Yay!
Hey, let's give Cheryl a shout out on her birthday. Happy birthday, Cheryl.
She is celebrating another year today, and she is my right hand, and she is my partner in crime. I owe it to her, the fact that she gave me the opportunity to partner in 2005, be able to submit the paperwork to make Garifuna American Heritage Foundation United a 501c3, a non-profit organization, which was paid for by the monies from Cheryl. She was the one that said, you know what, I'm going to put my money where it should be, and I want to be able to help the Garifuna community in as many ways as we can. And she asked me if I could help her, and I said, of course, we could do this together. I like marketing and advertising. I have a degree in that from Guatemala, actually. And I graduated in 1981 in Colegio La Ilustración, Mazatenango. Born to a Chinese Guatemalan father and a Guatemalan Latino lady. My mom, a beautiful mom, who is now at this moment retired in Guatemala, and of course traveling back and forth. But yeah, I was born there in Mazatenango, which is the Departamento de Suchitepec. It is the southernmost part of Guatemala on the Pacific Ocean, and it's as hot as it is in Izabal, in Puerto Vallarta, and in Livingston. So I'm used to the warmth of the people.
Eres de los nangos, eres de los nangos.
¿Cómo es eso? What did you say? I couldn't hear that.
Eres de los nangos. Eres de Quetzaltenango. Quetzaltenango.
Yeah, de Mazatenango.
Mazatenango.
Correcto.
Vaya.
Mazatenango, yes.
Okay.
So it is a sugar town community. We live off of the big sugar cane industry, and of course we all make money off of it one way or another. Even some of them will make money as truckers, delivering the sugar canes. And of course it's a big economy. But I first came in contact with Garifuna back in 1974. When my mom used to be the director of the health clinic in small town called Los Amates, Izabal. And so when I come to this town, I am exposed to a totally different culture. The people were different in many ways, even though we were all Guatemalans. But as we traveled to the communities such as Morales, Bananera, Puerto Barrios, and Livingston to promote parenting and, of course, safe sex and all of that stuff. My mom used to do that. So I would tag along and come and meet up the people. As we come into Bananera, we were welcome with reggae music, with all kinds of things. As you know, Bananera and Morales Izabal was back in the day heavily Creole, and now it's hardly anybody left there. They all moved to Belize and New York. And when we used to travel to Puerto Barrios and Livingston, of course, it was Garifuna. So we were welcome with good food and, of course, drumming and all of that. And my mom would set up a meeting and talk to the people in charge of the community and offer the classes. And, of course, give away whatever things that were offered by the Government of Guatemala to promote family planning and safe sex and all of that. So that's how I got exposed to Garifuna, and from that point on, my life changed.
Nice.
For the better.
So you learned your community service from your mother.
Yes, definitely. I think so. I owe it to her.
Nice. Sereme to your mama. And Ronnie, I'm really glad that you even mentioned Bananera. My mom is from Bananera, as a matter of fact. Well, was from Bananera. That's what she was born.
Lino? No, what was your mom's last name?
Yeah, that was my mom's maiden last name, Lino.
Okay, Lino, yes. Yeah, Lino are very powerful, very big family in La Buga and, of course, in Guatemala. And, I have a lot of Lino friends, and the Linos are very big in Belize as well. So, the Linos continue here in Los Angeles, and I'm glad that I met you, Linda, to have the opportunity to talk to you tonight.
Likewise, Ronnie. Listen, I would like to know a little bit more of the movement out there. El movimiento de las organizaciones garífuna en Long Beach y en todas las partes allí en California que tú sepas, además de GAFU. Pero como muchas personas solo conocen a Ronnie Figueroa como la figura de Garifuna Music y Talk with DJ La Buga, ¿puedes dar un poco de información de tu trabajo comunitario? Porque recuerda, se oye mucho tu voz, ¿verdad? Pero a otra gente no tienen idea que eres más que el fundador y locutor de tu programa. ¿Nos puedes hablar del movimiento de las organizaciones ahí?
Okay. We're going to continue in English because I don't want to confuse the people who are of course English speaking, and then we're gonna have some time to repeat everything in Spanish. Vamos a dar la oportunidad a la gente que habla español también para que sepa un poquito, pero por el momento vamos a continuar en inglés y luego vamos a dar un poco de información para que todos tengamos la oportunidad de conocer un poquito de la historia aquí en Los Ángeles del movimiento Garifuna. When we talk about Garifuna organizing, we gotta be very thankful to the Belizean community here, which started the movement back in the 40s and the 50s, and in the 60s it got so strong that they founded the Garifuna Settlement Day Committee, which was basically created to help the families of those who died here in Los Angeles and needed to be repatriated and buried back home or back in Belize. And so that was the main idea of this society, basically, that was funded by Garinagu Balisina. And so from there, they started to see the need to get together, to organize, and to do other things that would benefit the community who were who had moved from PG, from Dan Griga, from Hopkins and Tim Byte and everything, and so they needed to have some point of reference and a point of gathering, so that's when Mr. Clifford Palacio and Justo Mena and many other people, even Don Justo Flores comes into the picture along with Mrs. Morales. We're talking about, I think it's Cheryl's auntie. These were the movers and the shakers back in the 60s, to the point that one of them was one of the elite Garifuna promoters of the culture through the music and through writing books. And we're talking about Don Justo Flores, who was from Punta Gorda, Toledo district in Belize, and who moved here. He had the drummers. He recorded the first albums on vinyl, and they did the settlement, followed the movement from Thomas Vincent Ramos in Dan Griga, and they continued celebrating the 19th of November right here in Los Angeles. So that movement started to grow and grow and grow, and then more Garinagu were joining. We're talking about Garinagu from Guatemala and from Honduras. They identified as one Garifuna. So they said, you know what, we can't celebrate April 12th, which was later celebrated, because back in the days, April 12th was not even known, you know what I mean, for Hondurans and for Garinagu as the settlement day of all Garinagu into the Central American Isthmus. But Guatemalans also didn't have a day other than May 15th, which is basically the Saint San Isidro Labrador, So they all joined with the Belizeans in celebrating the Garifuna arrival on the 19th of November, back to back from then on. And so they obtained their 501c3. They were one of the first ones to obtain the status of 501c3. And then it was followed by, let me see if I remember, the Hondurans had, I can't really remember the name, the exact name, but it was it was the Organización Negra de Honduras,
Okay.
Something like Onegua. I'm not too sure.
No,
I have to
Onegua
go
is
back
from
and
Guatemala.
do a refreshment. What was that?
The Onegua is the organization in Guatemala.
Okay, yes, yeah. I'm getting confused there, but it was the organization of Honduras, and it was one. It was very strong, and then there was the Guatemalan ones. It was the Fraternidad Isabalense, and then Hermandad Vivisteña, and then Pops had the soccer player committee, which became a 501c3 at one point later in the 90s, called Union Livingston. And so all these smaller organizations started to have fundraisers and to come together. So Belizeans, Hondurans, and Guatemalan Garinagu will come together and help one another the way it's supposed to be, right? And so as time evolved, we're looking at the 80s, more things were happening, and then the birth of GEM, Garinagu Empowerment Movement, headed by Tomas, Tomasito's last name, Zúñiga. Tomas Zúñiga created GEM, which was very instrumental in giving Angelinos Garinagu from Los Angeles a day of their own on April 12th, which was a day to celebrate the arrival of Garifuna. In lieu of April 12th, the arrival day to Honduras and to Central America, we here in Los Angeles were able to take one day off if you work for the city, because it was Garifuna's day. Thanks
Awesome.
to GEM and thanks to Tomas Zúñiga, who is from Guatemala, but has been living here forever, along with his sisters and brothers and his mom. So we have a lot of leaders who took this very seriously, and because of that legacy, my wife Cheryl wanted to target the things that were not being done. We saw the need for GAFU to come in and say, you know what, we need to do this. I'm glad that GEM is doing this, that the Garifuna Settlement Day Committee is doing that, that Union Livingston is into soccer, and the organization from Honduras is doing the fundraiser for the Honduran communities. We need GAFU. So GAFU is going to come in and do the things that we have been doing since 2005, which is the participation into the Central American Independence Parade here in Los Angeles, which is organized by COFECA, Confederación de las Fiestas de Centroamérica. It's a big organization that's been around for years, I would say about 30 years now. So we have been celebrating and participating as one community, as one Garifuna here in Los Angeles with floats, with the participation as we hosted and we invited the Ballet Nacional Folklorico Garifuna from Honduras in Los Angeles to come and represent and give us a fantastic presentation of what Garifuna life and culture and music is all about. So that was one of the things. And then next we started working with the universities and colleges offering Garifuna drumming and dance workshops. We would hire or coordinate with some of the best drummers in Los Angeles, whether they were Honduran, Guatemalan, or Belizean, and we would take them along with dancers to do workshops around universities. And when GAFU gets paid, everybody got paid, And then we decided to do the first annual Garifuna Community Forum, and that happened way back at a little place called Mabatua, home of the first Garifuna Community Forum in 2005. That's when we invited members of the Garifuna communities from all over, including Dr. Catherine E. Gill, who is the Honorary Consul General of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We also invited Huacan Vidal, who was a Taino, and Tainos are cousins and closely related to Garifuna.
Yeah.
And so we had the participation of all these wonderful people, and we came together and talked about the things that were needed, that were lacking in the community. So we did the Garifuna Forum back-to-back until, I would say, by 6 years, back-to-back. And then so we decided to take a break. And then we moved on to the Garifuna Academy. We created the first Garifuna Academy here in Los Angeles. Of course, there were others who were teaching classes, like Mr. Clifford Palacio, or his own Carlos Domingo Alvarez from Honduras also taught some classes. Don Justo Flores also did his own teaching through writing books, through sharing the books with the community. Very nice. And so we said, we need something permanent. So we were able to start a Garifuna classes at the same cultural center called Mabatua, which is homelit, right? Mabatua. So that was the name of the origins of the Garifuna classes. And so as we moved right along, and with the help of community members such as Dr. Michelle Goldwasser, who is a professor at one of the major universities in San Diego, sitting on our board, and then Mr. Clifford Palacio, a retired teacher, sitting on our board, and of course Dr. Gill, we decided to get a grant. So Dr. Michelle Goldwasser helped us to write a grant, and we got awarded the amount of, I think it was $7,500 for 1 year of teaching the classes, and we were given the freedom to teach it the way we wanted. So we added to the Garifuna classes the drumming and the dance, and so it was a success. It was back to back. We won the grant back to back. They trusted us. We delivered the numbers, and of course we loved what we were doing, because I think we were able to reach out many lives and many youngsters who wanted to find out who they were, because a lot of them were born here to Garifuna parents, but then they were disconnected. So when they came to the classes, they enjoyed being there on Saturdays, and then we decided to broadcast the classes through LaBuga.com radio, which was and by still was being marketed as a project. So very instrumental in helping us broadcast the classes every Saturday morning from when we were teaching teaching the classes. And so we have teachers who were hired who knew what they were talking about, like Carlos Domingo Alvarez, Ruben Reyes, Melesio Gonzalez, Mr. Clifford Palacio, and many more that escaped my mind, even Ben Flores, who is the son of the late Don Justo Flores, who was also helping in teaching the classes. So it was a very, very organized affair, a project that lasted until last year. And then it's coming back next year again. We were able, we are happy to announce to the community that we are bringing the classes back next year. The only difference is that we are going to have the classes in a new format. And we will give you more information as the time comes and as we get ready. It's going to be a big surprise because it's going to be available to all. So everyone is going to get a chance to refresh on their Garifuna, learn the Garifuna syntax, the way you write Garifuna, and of course it's going to be open for discussion as well. So but I am very excited to have this project come back in 2016.
That is great news.
And
so
then,
that means you're getting the grant
Linda,
again?
I hope I'm not getting you all tired up and everything. We also decided to jump on Operation La Bugana, which was a fundraiser that we did back in 2006 to bring donations to the children in Livingston. So we were able to send 4 boxes or barrels of 30 by 30 by 30. They were huge boxes with English and Spanish books, pens, pencils, white paper, erasers, rulers, computer equipment, peripherals, all kinds of things were donated during that Operation La Buga in 2006. Then we did one in conjunction with, and by request of Andy Palacio, the late Andy Palacio came and said, Cheryl, Ronnie, I would like you to organize the fundraiser, and I am willing to give you my free performance, along with the Garifuna Collective. So in 2000, let's see, when was this fundraiser? That escapes my mind, but it was right 1 year before Andy died. So we did a benefit concert, a school supply drive, Andy Palacio and the Garifuna Collective, Friday, August 3rd. And it was at 8 p.m. at Latino Nightclub, and we were able to fundraise over, of course, the musicians got paid, whatever they needed to get paid, not Andy, but the band. So they collected what they collected, but we were able to get about $3,000 to buy school supplies. So we donated about 3 barrels of school supplies to Gulisi Community School in Dangriga, which is headed by Professor, Cayetano. It's Phyllis Cayetano. So GAFO did a collection of school supplies, and with the money fundraise, we were able to go to the big stores here and buy books, pencils, and the things that they had requested from Gulisi School that they needed. So we sent the 3 barrels along with cameras so they could take pictures, and so we could have memories of what we did. But that was a very successful event, thanks to Andy. His soul rest in peace, because he was very dedicated to keeping the culture alive. And from there, we have been celebrating and trying to bring together a Yurumen for the people of Guatemala, for Garinagu La Bugana, Wadimalona, which is the 26th of November. We started having a Garifuna Mass. We did it, I think, 2 years back to back. And it was just to make sure that Garinagu from Guatemala were included, because since the majority here were from Belize, La Bugana felt like, hey, we like to participate on the 19th of November, but we want to have our own. So we decided to do a mass and a big festivity on the 26th, a week after the 19th, all the time. But it happened a week after. So we started doing the 26th of November, Garifuna Settlement Day of Guatemala. And so those are just a little, brief idea what GAFU has been doing in the community, thanks to the leadership of Cheryl Morales. That is.
And Ronnie, can you tell me how many years has GAFU has been operating?
Since 2005.
Since 2005.
Yeah.
Wow, awesome. 10 years going strong, huh?
Yes, it's been a very nice ride. We've had disappointments and, of course, a lot of good things. You know, when the community benefits, we enjoy that, and we all benefit one way or another. Because if we see that people even in Honduras, we have been able to help with sending an ambulance. The last time we helped Ruben Reyes and, of course, Dr. Luther Harry to send an ambulance. Little help that we did, you know, we all came together and put money so that we could pay for the shipping of this ambulance. And so it went all the way to Siriboya, which is way out there in the middle of the ocean, and you know, they have to go through mountains to get there. So we helped Hondurans as well.
See, that shows how we all work together for a greater cause. So that's awesome. And Ronnie, I'm really glad that you're bringing all these key points out here. You know, so again, all the other groups and organizations could also learn how we all could work together and make things happen. You need help, I help you. When I need help, you help me, and so on and so forth. And that's how I see GAFU has been operating. And congratulations to you, Cheryl, and all the members of GAFU.
No problem. Thank you for allowing us to talk about it, because we don't want to brag about it, but we do want to encourage people, and we want to be able to motivate people to, like you said earlier, before the beginning of the interview, that people participate, that you are able to say, you know, I want to not just join, I want to be able to help. Because you don't see, a lot of organizations don't have membership. We just need your help. Exactly. And by helping, you are already a member. And just by being a helping hand, you are helping not only us, you're helping the entire community get better.
Exactly,
you know?
And that's the message that we need to pass over and over and over. You know, whether it is coming and buying a plate of rice and beans when they doing a food sale, buying a plate of hudutu, that's a contribution right there that is needed. And again, can you give information of what are the things? You already said the school is coming back to GAFU, which I am excited and happy to hear. Congratulations on that. What other things do you guys have coming up?
Okay, for now, you know, let me step aside from GAFU real quick, and I want to talk about the love for the music I have. I think you did ask me about that, so I wanted to touch on that. Basically, when I started with the music, with Garifuna music, I started my collection back in 1985 with cassettes. Of course, cassettes were very prominent back in the days, and of course, vinyls, you know, the records. So I started collecting music. I just felt like Garifuna music had a very special place, and that no one was really paying attention to it. And then right around 1985-86, Banda Blanca comes up with this punta rhythm, which is totally taking Garifuna as we know it by pride, because not only were they still in the music, but they were also benefiting from it and not giving the proper royalties to the musicians who created Andy Palacio and, of course, Chico Ramos, who were the authors of Sopa de Caracol, you know. So I needed to say that I started my collection, so I said, you know what, one of these days I will be DJing for Garingaru, because I think the music is beautiful. It has its own style, its own rhythm, and it is rich, and it's telling a message. So as I come and work with the Garina group from La Buga, Union Livingston and Hermandad Livisteña here in Los Angeles, I started DJing for them for free. I said, you know what, I'll DJ for this fundraiser. So I started playing good music, and every time I played like Banda Blanca or Roland, they would tell me, no, don't play that, don't play that kind of music. I want you to play that kind of music. So I would just play Garifuna music. So I started collecting more and more, and then I avoided playing the Banda Blanca and the Roland and everything because Garinagu knew that there was something wrong there. They were just using one token, one Garifuna token, to be the singer of Roland or Banda Blanca or Silver Star or Catabe, and then everybody else was Spanish. The people who played the instruments were all Spanish, and then they only had one token, Garifuna, singing in Garifuna. So they were using the community, and up until today, I believe that Mario Cotto has been using the community, who is the big promoter, to make money, and give the musicians peanuts, really, because they don't make enough money to really have a decent living, and they travel a lot. So, if people are really serious about the music, and they're very protective of it, but then all these things are going on. So then I decided to get into production and to produce the music. So I got together with Madness. Back in the day, Madness was doing music here in Los Angeles. He is the brother of Super G and of course, the Doc Martinez, Adrian. And so Madness was very talented. So Madness said, La Buga, I want to give you this master. I want you to put it out there, promote it for me and everything. So we put it together. I paid for the mastering of this music. We cleaned it up and we put it on cassette and we started selling it. So everybody got paid. Madness got paid. I got my money back. Glenn Sampson, who is also a keyboard player, got some of the money because he was the middleman, the one that introduced me to Madness and everything. So I gotta do more of this. I love this kind of music. So then I decided to talk to Isanigu, and Isanigu had only recorded one cassette, which was Risa 94. That was in 1994. And so in 1996, I take Isanigu to the studio, and this was a very expensive project because I was paying $50 an hour for a professional recording studio here in Anaheim, California, owned by Univision. And so I paid for all the recordings, and I paid some of the musicians who were invited because Isanigu band was only here for the weekend. So they were here in Los Angeles from Thursday through Monday. So I took them to the studio Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday all day. And they were able to practically finish 80% of the albums. Isanigu, Punta Rock, Anyahan Isanigu is the name of the album. So that was one of the hottest albums back in 1996. These guys were excellent. So I paid some of the musicians, actually, like Asiatic, who was the one that mastered this recording. Asiatic got paid for mastering this album and making it sound professional. And I hired Pedro Blanco, who is also from La Buga. He's a Rastafarian who plays for big Jamaican artists. He's a drummer. He plays the trap set. And so he came and did the drum rolls with his own trap set in the studio. So it was very professionally done. So this album sold out. It was very nice. Everybody got paid. We sent the CDs to New York with Jordao and Ideal, and of course the rest of the members of the band, Cuella. And so then from that project, I moved on to Inevese Band, which was a band that Cheryl and I founded. We were able to put together very talented musicians, and we would have gigs every weekend. We would play for all types of organizations here in Los Angeles that were non-Garifuna, and they loved the music. And these guys were playing hardcore Punta Rock. So it was a good experiment, and they were getting paid. We were charging $1,000, $1,500 per gig, and so everybody was paying very good. While the marimba band and other bands were charging $500, $600, we were charging double. And because they loved it, and because they looked at it that, wow, this is new, and this is from Central America. Oh my goodness, I didn't know we have black people in Central America. I didn't know we have Garifuna. You know what I mean? So it was a good experiment. It was an opportunity to showcase Garifuna music to a different level. So I bought equipment, top of the line equipment for the band, and you know, we had a good uniform for every performance, so they looked very professional. And that was with the help of Cheryl, of course. She was the stage manager for that. And then I worked with the Garifuna Star Band with of course, the more professional, more of a classic type of band. That everybody has been professional, and I don't want to put anybody down, but these guys, the Garifuna Star Band, with musicians such as Gadu Nunez, Noli Palacio, Chocolat, and Marconi Star, and all these guys coming together, man, they were the cream of the crop, one of the best bands I ever heard. You know, so I produced their first album. And then from then on, it's history. You know, they went on to join Mario Cotto, and they did a lot of things, and they broke up.
That was in the 90s, right?
With music.
That was in the 90s?
Yes, it was all, let's see, yes, 90. We're talking about 97, 98, around there. We got it from a Star Band, yes.
Yeah, I kind of remember that. And
now with the Nebese Band was in 1999, 2000. And then from then, Linda, Cheryl and I moved on to other things. I continued to DJ. I kept DJing at different Garifuna venues and everything. It was just my collection of music started to get bigger and bigger up until today. I have one of the biggest Garifuna music collections. And eventually I'm planning to donate this to a museum in Belize or somewhere that it could be well kept and well preserved and everything, for the new generations to appreciate. You know, I have a lot of CDs, vinyls, cassettes, you name it, I have it. You know, and I continue to do that today, you know, to continue to find music and enjoy it and play it. Yeah.
That sounds like a great idea. Is there already a museum out there that you're looking at?
No, there is none. But remember, there is the Garifuna Museum in Belize City.
Right.
And there is a Gulisi School Museum in Dangriga. I haven't heard of one in Honduras yet, but I know there is one at the Cultural Center with Ballet Folklorico Garifuna. But really, if we are going to donate to a museum, I want to make sure that it is taken seriously, that it is a museum that is run professionally, that, you know, they are going to take care of these things, because these things should be preserved for the new generations, I believe.
I like that idea. That sounds awesome. And this is what I was talking about. You have so much. You have so much under your belt, and you are telling me things that myself and countless others listening out there had no idea that you were a part of. You know, so this is the reason these programs, such the ones you do, I do, and so important, because we get to know more about the person behind the voice, behind the screen. And I am amazed for all the things that you were telling me, Ronnie, because there were things that I truly didn't know that you have been involved with. You know, is Cheryl there?
Yeah, she's here. She's listening. She's busy writing. You know, she writes a lot of papers and stuff. So she's here somewhere.
Being that she's there, have her listen. Have her listening.
Okay.
Let's
Cheryl,
take about 2 minutes just to do something for her.
Okay.
Okay, just tell me if she's listening.
Okay, she is listening now.
Okay.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Feliz cumpleaños, amada. Que la pases feliz. Ya queremos pasar. Ya queremos pasar. Aunque sea un pedacito, pero queremos pasar. Así de que ya te están poniendo viejitas. No.
said thank you. She's very excited. Yes, thank you so much.
We are always showing our Garifunanes. Some people obviously might not have heard this one. Let's take this one away. There you go. There it goes. You won the prize.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
I love this version.
To you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Oh, look at that. Awesome. See, without even knowing it.
They're all related.
Awesome. So, see, they always say behind a good man, there's always a strong woman.
I have to agree with that, definitely.
So it's proven right there. Your union with Cheryl is part of history as well as everything else that you have been involved with. Because she's right behind, right next to you, doing all this greatness. That's awesome.
Yeah. Sometimes I think she pushes me, you know?
That's great.
I would like to say happy birthday to your wife, too.
Hey, Cheryl, happy birthday from Don Julian. Yes, she's listening right now. Thank you, brother. Appreciate
Yes,
that.
happy birthday. We wish you many, many, many more.
Thanks for that. Yeah.
Okay, so you gave us your musical history, which is awesome information. You told us about Gafu. Is there another key pointer that you need to tell us about?
I just wanna repeat, do a little quick, a brief. I would have said in Spanish. Quiero compartir lo que hablé, hacer un resumen, porque yo creo que tenemos mucha audiencia que habla español también. Pero gracias al lindo de Puntology, a don Julian, por darme la oportunidad de estar aquí esta noche. Mi nombre es Ronnie Figueroa, más conocido como DJ La Buga. Empezamos una organización que se llama Garifuna American Heritage Foundation United, GAFU. GAFU es el apodo del papá de Cheryl, que en paz descanse. Le decían John Box, GAFU. Entonces, cuando Cheryl decide crear esta organización en el año 2005, ella dijo, bueno, quiero hacer esta organización y en honor a mi padre, entonces vamos a buscar un nombre que le quede a él. Entonces, GAFU fue el nombre que escogimos con las siglas que ya describí, ¿no? Así es de que a nombre del señor John Box, Winston Box Norales, la dedicación de esta organización. Empezamos con eventos que no existían en la comunidad garífuna, ¿verdad? Mirábamos que había una organización que se había creado en los años 60, que era Garifuna Settlement Day Committee. Era la organización de liceños, y ellos empezaron y crearon una organización para ayudar a las víctimas, a las personas que fallecían aquí en este país, y con el dinero que ellos juntaban lo llevaban para Belice o para Guatemala o para Honduras a enterrarlos. Entonces esa fue la idea, la misión principal de esa organización, y luego creció dentro del margen de aquí del casco urbano de Los Ángeles, y se formó un monstruo de organización que es conocida como Garifuna Settlement Day Committee, y ellos tuvieron su 501c3, que es el título que obtienen para poder obtener donaciones deducibles de los impuestos, para poder hacer todo tipo de eventos, ¿verdad? Y poder hacer uso de los recursos de la ciudad de Los Ángeles o de cualquier parte de la nación, de Estados Unidos, para poder mejorar la vida del Garífuna. Entonces, esa organización fue una de las que principió. Había también una organización aquí en Los Ángeles muy fuerte que era de hondureños. no me acuerdo las siglas de la organización, pero era una organización de negra, de hondureños, algo así, no me acuerdo, pero ellos también estaban muy bien organizados y hacían muchas fiestas y pues mandaban cosas para las comunidades hondureñas. Y luego teníamos la organización de fútbol, que era la Unión Livingston, liderada por Flavio Álvarez. Un saludo para Paps, que ya mañana se va de nuevo para Guatemala, está ya jubilado allá en Livingston y pues viene a pasar. Aquí está ahorita, pero se está despidiendo y ya mañana se va, que le va bien. También estaba la Hermandad Livisteña. Entonces hacíamos, yo ayudaba a ellos, a las organizaciones, especialmente la Livisteña, porque me identificaba como guatemalteco, ¿no? Entonces ayudaba para tocar música como DJ gratis, para hacer recaudación de fondos, venta de comida, bailes. Entonces ahí fue donde empecé a ganar un poco más de aprecio, ¿no? De la gente garífuna, y me decían, bueno, yo quiero que ese DJ que toca la música, la búgara DJ, que venga, que él nos venga a ayudar, que él venga a tocar. Entonces de ahí ellos me dieron el nombre, la búgara DJ la búgara, ahí nació este nombre, ¿no? No es porque yo lo haya escogido y me lo haya puesto, sino porque la gente de Livingston me agarró mucho aprecio y me decían, la búgara DJ, man, yo queremos a este muchacho que venga a tocar, y de ahí me quedó ese nombre. Entonces ya cuando vimos de que estas organizaciones tenían ya eventos para recaudar fondos y todo, dijimos, no, mi esposa en el año 2005 dijo, queremos formar una organización y fundarla que haga las cosas que no se están haciendo. Entonces decidimos fundar GAFU. Y GAFU pues ha participado y hecho muchas cosas en la comunidad, como talleres de tambor garífuna y de danza. Le damos trabajo a varios de los mejores tamboristas de aquí, que son garífuna del área de Los Ángeles, sean hondureños, guatemaltecos o belisteños, y sean nicaragüenses, ¿por qué no? Y vamos a hacer las presentaciones a las universidades y colegios y municipalidades de distintos lugares. Y pues ahí nació la idea también de un foro garífuna. Decidimos hacer un foro garífuna anual que duró 6 años, desde el 2005, que empezó en un centro cultural que se llamaba Mamatúa, que es homeless, que es personas que no tienen casa, ¿verdad? Que son el nombre del centro cultural. Ahí lo empezamos y ahí tuvimos la dicha de contactar a muchos líderes garífunas de la diáspora, y pues conocimos a Huacán Vidal, que era taíno, que en paz descanse. Él también vino a hablar acerca de la relación entre el garífuna y el taíno, que es prominente allá en las islas de Cuba y en Puerto Rico, Boriken, República Dominicana, etcétera. Entonces cada año se hacía el foro garífuna y lo llevamos hasta Medgar Evers College en Brooklyn. Lo hicimos en el Bronx, en Nueva York, con la ayuda de Jerry Castro. Allá en Brooklyn fue con la ayuda de la profesora Núñez, que es una de las profesoras que da clases ahí en esta universidad de Medgar Evers College. Y lo hicimos aquí en 2 universidades, lo hicimos en Cal State Northridge y también en Cal State Los Ángeles. Luego también le dimos la oportunidad al Ballet Folclórico Garífuna, ellos también nos dieron la oportunidad, y entonces hacemos la amistad y logramos traerlos acá con la ayuda del gobierno de Honduras para que vinieran a representar al Garífuna en todo su algarabía, ¿no? Con tambores, con música, con bailes, profesionalmente, cada año para el desfile de Centroamérica. Por 3 años consecutivos estuvieron aquí, gracias al profesor Armando Crisanto por haber trabajado con GAFU y haber depositado su confianza en nosotros. También trabajamos e hicimos recaudación de fondos para ayudar a los niños en Livingston. En el año 2006 se hizo Operación La Buga, y se mandaron 3 o 4 cajas de 30 por 30 por 30 para niños allá en Livingston, y nuestro contacto era el señor Tomás Sánchez, y a él se le mandaron pues literatura, libros, crayones, lapiceros y todo eso para ayudar a los niños de Livingston. También se hizo una gran recaudación de fondos a través de Andy Palacio, que Dios lo tenga en su gloria, que él vino y contactó a nuestra organización y dijo, Cheryl, Ronnie, quiero que hagamos una recaudación de fondos para ayudar a la escuela Gulisi, que es un proyecto nuevo en Dangriga. Esa escuela es netamente garífuna por garífunas, pero no para garífuna nada más, sino ahí vamos a darle clases a todos los que quieran aprender garífuna. Hay niños garífunas y que no son garífunas que vienen a las clases en Gulisi Community School. Entonces se reunieron 3 barriles grandes de computadoras y equipo de escuela, útiles escolares, VCR, DVD player, de todo eso, ¿no? Y se mandaron para la directora que era del día de la llegada del garífuna a Guatemala, porque aquí se celebra nada más el 19 de noviembre la llegada del garífuna a Belice. Entonces dijimos, vamos a empezarlo, y en el año 2009 creo que fue cuando hicimos la primera misa a nombre de la llegada del garífuna a Guatemala. Entonces lo hicimos el 26 de noviembre o una semana después, ¿no? Que día 19 de noviembre aquí. La próxima semana siempre se celebraba el día del garífuna guatemalteco. Así es de que gracias por haberme dado la oportunidad de entrar a sus hogares y a Linda Lino y el staff de la emisora de Puntology por compartir un poquito del trabajo que hacemos aquí en la comunidad de Long Beach, Los Ángeles, que es del mismo condado de Los Ángeles, ¿no? Gracias, Linda.
Gracias a ti, Ronnie, la verdad, muchísimas gracias, y ha sido súper informativo todo lo que nos has dicho, y esperamos que compartas con nosotros más frecuente lo que está pasando en el otro lado. Okay.
Claro que sí.
Tienes que compartir con nosotros lo que pasa en el West Coast. Ahora con la tecnología, sí, claro, estamos ahí en la esquina. Okay.
¿Cómo?
Ahora con la tecnología estamos en la esquina.
Oh, sí, es cierto.
Right, so this has to be a promise. You have to share all the happenings from the West Coast here with us here in the East Coast. We're going to continue working together. I truly admire you, your wife, and just about all the people that you mentioned, because you guys have been pioneers in the Garifuna community. El nombre te lo ganaste. No hay nadie que yo hable o conozca cuando se menciona tu nombre, Ronnie, que no tenga algo positivo de hablar de ti. Yo en lo personal nunca he escuchado nada negativo. Y tú sabes lo que es difícil que se hable de una persona sin escuchar negativo.
Hay negativo siempre, pero...
No, siempre, bueno, pues yo no he escuchado. Oíste lo que dije, yo no lo he escuchado. Así que por ello te digo, te admiro muchísimo por tu trayectoria, por el amor que le tienes a la cultura, a nuestra gente. Es muy, muy hermoso todo lo que haces y se nota que lo haces de corazón. Así que muchísimas gracias por darme esta entrevista, Ronnie. Con la primera palabra dijiste, órale. Así que gracias por todo ello. Y les deseo suerte con todo lo que tenga que hacer, tanto GAFU y tu programa. ¿Cuál es? ¿Cuándo? Dile al público para que lo escuchen.
Oh, sí, una invitación para todo el público para que nos sintonicen el día de mañana, miércoles, a partir de las 7 de la noche, hora de Los Ángeles, 10 de la noche, hora de Nueva York. Voy a tener en vivo y a todo color a uno de los futbolistas más prominentes de Guatemala, al Marvin Titimán Flores, que viene directamente de Guatemala y está aquí con nosotros de visita. Él estará aquí en casa mañana en la cabina de Long Beach, compartiendo sus aventuras y todo lo que ha vivido en el fútbol guatemalteco, desde el racismo a viaje a la China. También tendremos en vivo y a todo color, vía telefónica, al nuevo comisionado presidencial de Guatemala contra el racismo, a Mauricio Enríquez. Así es de que no se lo pierdan mañana, y si no pueden escucharlo, pues vamos a grabarlo y ponerlo ahí para que lo escuchen. Recuerden que tenemos un canal en YouTube que se llama GAFU Channel, GAHFU Channel. Y ahí pues tenemos todas las entrevistas grabadas para que las escuchen cuando quieran. Tenemos entrevistas de Paula Castillo hasta Deborah David, que es uno de los talentos del modelo de la belleza garífuna que vive en México. También grandes artistas de Honduras como Mando Ballesteros, ha sido entrevistado también desde Belice a Ivan Durán, que es detrás hablar de lo que es Garifuna Collective. So the invitation is all of you listeners for tomorrow night, tomorrow Wednesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. New York. We are going to have a special guest. It's all going to be in Spanish. So we're going to have Marvin Kitiman Flores. He is a professional soccer player, and he is here on vacation from Guatemala. He will be here in my studio in Long Beach, sharing about his experiences as a professional athlete, the racism faced in Guatemala and abroad, the travels to China as a professional soccer player. And of course, we're going to have the presidential commissioner for the racism and I forget the translation of this. It's very complicated. Mr. Mauricio Enriquez will be here. He was just nominated and appointed the presidential commissioner for anti-racism in Guatemala. So don't forget tomorrow on LMB Root and RadioCentroamerica.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Ronnie. We will be tuned in tomorrow to listen to this great news. So again, Sereme, Sereme, Sereme. We'll talk next time. Sereme no matter. Bye-bye. Wow. That was the interview with Ronnie Figueroa, which I am so happy this happened because, oh my God, I've learned so much from him.
Very informative.
You know, I know of him being in GAFU and his talk show and DJing, but he gave so much information that I ignored.
Yes.
So one another from Guatemala, from Honduras, West Coast, like we're right here in the same city.
All over the world.
You know what I mean? So this is the beauty of technology. This is when I say we need to utilize technology, not allow technology to utilize our brain. So again, Ronnie, thank you so much for this interview. It was awesome. La entrevista de Ronnie, muy informativa, dio una información, una historia, eso fue un historial, porque yo sé de la trayectoria que tiene con GAFU, como DJ y etcétera, conductor de su programa, pero él dio detalles en cosas que han pasado dentro de la historia garífuna, de tanto que, wow, yo he quedado impresionada y he aprendido mucho más. Y esto es lo bello de la tecnología. Nos trae unidos, nos une. Así como puedo conectar a un invitado, invitada en Guatemala, Honduras, California. Todos estamos aprendiendo y sabiendo lo que estamos haciendo simultáneamente. Y yo creo que eso es importante en nuestra sociedad hoy en día. Aprender uno del otro. No más envidia. Bueno, las envidias siempre van a estar, pero tratemos de no estar envidiando lo que hace otra persona. Dejen de concentrarse en quién está haciendo aquí, quién está haciendo allá. Concéntrense en su trabajo. Porque cuando se empiezan a concentrar en lo que está haciendo Joe, Bob y quien sea, están perdiendo de su trabajo. Se están desconectando, se están distrayendo. Así que hay que usar lo positivo. Aprender del trabajo, de la lucha que han hecho otras organizaciones o personas individuales y añadirlo a lo que nosotros queremos hacer. Eso no es copiar. Pero si es copiar, hay que copiar lo bueno, no lo malo. Muchas personas empiezan a copiar todo lo malo. Fulano hace esto, bueno, yo también lo voy a hacer. Aprendamos lo bueno. Yo prefiero copiar algo bueno de una persona y añadirlo a mi pensamiento, a mi técnica, a mis ingredientes. Así que mi gente, espero hayan disfrutado este programa esta noche. Yo lo disfruté al máximo escuchando las historias y las informaciones que Ronnie Figueroa, a.k.a. DJ La Buga, nos ha compartido esta noche. Again, I always like to tell people, there's nothing wrong from learning and listening to somebody else's history, especially when they have positive things that we could learn from. If there's something you see or hear someone has done and it fits with whatever purpose you are trying to achieve, don't be embarrassed to utilize some of the skills, some of the techniques that other person has used. There's nothing wrong with that. We can learn from one another. Don't just learn the bad. Let's learn the positive and make them better. Okay? That will be the message for tonight. But also, before closing the program tonight, there are people who are doing greatness. And to every person out there who is supporting the Garifuna community and beyond, because remember, Garifuna Sin Fronteras, the reason why Garifuna Sin Fronteras is not all about us, Garinagu. Sin Fronteras means without borders. This means this program is open to anyone. Today, tomorrow, you will hear me interview someone who is not Garifuna, which has happened. Okay, there are people who become part of the Garifuna community without being Garifuna biologically. Okay, so we live in this great nation, therefore we are part of this community, and I intend to touch all the issues that are plaguing our society. We're not immune to these problems that are happening out here. We are part of them. Okay, so again, there is a great event